Hi there, it's Marc from Tranquil Garden Urban Homestead, and today I'm going to transplant some leeks. I've got them in pots. All I need to do is put them in the ground, and I'll show you exactly step by step what you need to do. So stay tuned, and I'll show you how in a few steps. Alright, so let's get started. First thing to do is to check the master plan and check to see where we're actually going to plant these leeks. And I've got them written down here to be planted alongside where the carrots have been sown. So I'm going to plant the leeks in a row, not in a block, and that tends to be a little bit easier to do. So the first thing to do is I'm going to actually run the rows going literally perpendicular to the length of the bed. The bed is going this way, we're going to have the rows going this way. So essentially we don't care too much about getting them perfectly straight, of course, but it helps a little bit just in making it easier to plant. So I'm going to put a row probably right about here, and then space it out about maybe 6 to 10 inches or so with another one here. Leeks don't need too much space sort of sideways because they're very slender and narrow, as you can see, so they're actually not too bad for this type of planting. So we'll go ahead and we'll mark out where the row will be. We'll dig a small trench, and then, or a small furrow, and then what we'll do is we'll plant the leeks in, firm them in, and then we're more or less done. Put that aside under a rock so it doesn't blow away. Good. So then what we want to do is use our trusty rake, which I use for a lot of things. I've already gone ahead and sort of cleaned up the bed here a little bit and got rid of some larger sticks and things that are left over from when I put compost on here. Some stuff hadn't been broken down yet. And so what we'll do with the rake now is, after we've sort of leveled it off, we're just going to make a small furrow. So what we'll do is we'll sort of take the edge of the rake here and literally just draw it through the soil. And if there's any parts that need to be broken up a little bit, break them up. Soil doesn't have to be terribly smooth. A little bit of roughage is okay, like that. So now that we have the furrow made, we'll have a look at our leek seedlings. And I don't remember exactly when I actually planted these. I think it was about a month to 2 months ago. And you can get them to be a little bit bigger. These could be a little bit bigger, but I do want to kind of plant them out. They're getting awfully tall, so it's about time to plant them out. And as you can see, we've also got a chard seedling here that somehow managed to sneak into the container, so we'll maybe plant that one elsewhere. But essentially the easiest way to do this is to kind of support the leeks here. Give it a good tap. You can actually see that we've got some roots coming out of the holes in the pot as well, which is another sign that these need to be planted because they're getting too big for their pot. So the other alternative you could do is you could actually break them apart, put them in individual pots, bigger pots, and grow them a little bit longer. These were propagated in my greenhouse, so they've been kind of coddled and taken care of, and our weather is warming up now, so these can go into the ground, and we might just protect them a little bit just to keep them from getting too cold at night. But leeks are pretty hardy. So what we'll do is we'll actually break these up, and you just can use your fingers if you really want to. Do it over the soil so you don't lose any of your soilless mix. And you want to sort of tease the roots out. Come on. There we go. And you can see nice long roots. there. Hopefully you can see that. And this is ready to be popped in the ground. You'll also notice that there is a little bit of sort of brownish leaves here, and I mean, you can pull them off. They just come off real easy, or you can just ignore them. And this is ready to be popped into the ground. Now, don't worry too much about if the roots get a little bit constricted when you pop it in, because these roots are really long. You don't need a hole as long as the roots. They'll kind of push themselves into the surrounding soil. And leeks typically have fairly shallow root systems, so that's fine. They should be happy. So what we want to do is kind of space them out. I usually space them out about 1 inch to 2 inches or so, 2.5 to 5 centimeters. You can, of course, plant them closer and then just thin them out, and some people like to have the young leeks. It's actually, in restaurants, it's actually kind of a specialty. And then as you're thinning them out, then the other ones will grow bigger, and then you'll get the nice big fat leeks. So, I'll basically just pop them in here, and I'll do one close-up so that you can see better. I'll move the camera. But essentially, it's just a matter of popping it in, firming the soil around it, and then moving on. So we'll do a bit of a close-up so you can have a better look at this process. So hopefully you can see this spot well. I've got about maybe 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 2.5 to 3 centimeters or so between these two plants, and then the next one is going to come about here. I don't bother measuring. I usually just either use my fingers or I just do it by eye, and make sure all the roots are nicely covered. That one's kind of sticking out. So the next one is going to come about here. I just make sure that the soil has been loosened up a bit, and we're going to pile more soil on top anyways. So if you find any weeds, get rid of them, throw them away. And then this guy's just going to go in here, and we're literally just going to push some soil around it, some good compost, and firm it up a little bit. And if you need to, you can move it over a little bit, and that's it. So it's that simple. Gardening doesn't have to be hard. Don't need to be perfect. Just a matter of getting your plants in, getting them at the right distance apart, and kind of the right depth. Leeks, you usually want to make sure, and I'll show you on one of the ones that I've got here. So leeks, you want to make sure that you don't have the soil go past where the first leaves actually split up, because then you get dirt inside, and then it makes it harder to wash them later. But they can be planted right up to that, and you'll then get more of the white stuff, which I know lots of people prefer. They don't like eating the green part. We eat the whole thing, including all the green part all the way up to the tips. And so, but it's nice to have a little bit of the white part as well. Adds a little bit of color, and it's usually sweeter, and so forth. So I'll just continue doing the rows, 2 more rows, this row and then 1 more row, and then I'll show you what the final result is. So the final step is to water your leeks, and I did that with just the watering can, as you saw. Keep them fairly well watered the next few days so that they have a chance to establish. What I usually also do is I try to fertilize them at least with some liquid seaweed fertilizer. Sometimes throw in some fish emulsion fertilizer as well. It's all water soluble, and that'll just sort of get them over the transplant shock of having been moved from the pots into the ground. So I didn't actually put any fertilizer in when I planted them. There's quite a bit of compost here that's got a lot of organic nutrients in it, And so what I might do is I might side dress it a little bit later with just some organic granular fertilizer, which is slow release, which will help them when they start to really put on thickness. And then I have some leftovers, so one of the things that I want to try to do is actually grow these in a pot, a little bit of a deeper pot, and see how they go. I know lots of people actually do grow them in pots and have pretty good success, so I want to do that as an experiment. And then these ones are a little bit smaller. I'm not really sure why. Maybe they didn't get enough water in the greenhouse, but these ones will maybe keep, and maybe someone else can benefit from them. I've got a few people that might be interested in planting them, so I'll ask around and see. Or maybe I'll just do a few more pots, or I might just find some other space in the garden. In case you're wondering, the space that I have here to the right of the leeks is actually going to be onions. So I've got onion seedlings, and with that one I'm actually going to use the seeding square. And I'll show you how to actually use the seeding square to plant in blocks. And the onions typically are better to plant in blocks, and we want to make sure that there's enough space around the onion so that they can get bigger. But that's a future video. So for now, that's it for the leeks, and we'll basically just let them grow, and we'll maybe thin them out if we need to let the other ones in between grow bigger. But these will be basically ready probably in maybe early fall, and we will actually be able to eat from them probably most of the winter. One or two sometimes will be enough for one dinner. They get pretty big and tall. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it inspires you to go out and plant your own leeks or any other vegetables in your own garden. And you don't need to, of course, raise your own seedlings. You can actually also purchase these from a nursery or a garden center if you don't feel like tackling that to begin with, but it's not that difficult to do the seeding part. So again, thank you for watching the video. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button, and also remember to subscribe to the channel, and that way you'll be notified when there's new videos coming out. And we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.